So there's no way that you can stop me. I'm fully independent, there's no label who can drop me. Y'all been starting rumors, let me help you with some. Yeah, y'all can't cancel me. My life is scandal free. There ain't no sponsors taking losses cause the brand is me. My hands are clean, my family and my fans agree. Y'all can't cancel me for facts because you're mad and weak. How's a man say I'm clickbait if he gonna use this face to get clicks on his page? Y'all hypocrites are made. But I ain't tripping about these bullies, it ain't 6th grade. Go ahead and diss me trying to sell a couple mixtapes. I am not playing it safe, I said what I said, it is what it is. I don't care if you mad at me, okay? Go ahead and change the channel. Don't waste your time trying to cancel me, okay? They love me cause they know that I'm it. Say what you want, I guess it is what it is. Haters can talk, but they can't cancel the kid. Go ahead and go off, try and say this is it.
Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey everyone, Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle back with you. It is Friday night in the big town. So Gary used to say. It's about 9:30, and we're going to talk about the storms that are coming on in to western Oklahoma, see if they'll be affecting you here across the rest of the state. Also, how your weekend looks. So if you missed last night, here's your chance to kind of get caught back up to see what's coming our way. And we'll talk about if there's going to be any severe weather, all that jazz. So thanks for joining in for on YouTube, Twitter, and also on Facebook. Sammy, I hear you. Appreciate the stars and the appreciation there. You got it. I'm going to tell you what you want to hear. Same thing, Chayton. Appreciate the stars on Facebook. So Michelle's in Sulphur. When's it coming here? Everybody's, when is it coming to my house? So we're going to see what we can do here for you and get you up to speed. Jim also in Mustang checking on YouTube. And Jennifer, I see you there as well. Okay, let's take a look at the first thing of interest, and that's going to be the radar view for current conditions. And it does show some storms out here in northwest Oklahoma. Pretty potent one around the Thomas and between there and Oakwood and Leedy. This is a severe thunderstorm, so it does have winds that probably in excess of 60 to maybe possibly 70 miles an hour. And it is a quick mover, moving to the northeast at 48 miles per hour. So you folks that live in Kingfisher, Tennessee, Calumet, you've still got over an hour before it does arrive, but needless to say, the ones in the current path are kind of west of you for about the next 45 minutes, and that continues on into Custer City, Putnam, Thomas, and Canton by the time we head to the 10 o'clock hour. So again, winds probably excess of about 60 miles per hour at times, so this would be the biggest threat for this particular storm, but it may have a tendency to kind of weaken with time. So in other words, it may not hold together for much more than an hour. There are some additional storms though out here northwest of there that may develop overall tonight and move east, so I do expect these storms to gradually move east tonight into central Oklahoma. The question is, of course, is how strong will they be? Will they be heavy storm makers with a lot of lightning? And that seems to be the indications in the model data. So that's what we have right now to work with. Okay, let's take a look at the wind on some of these storms. In the Panhandle, they've been getting rocked. So this 85 degrees, or excuse me, 85 is not a temperature. That's what I'm trying to say. It is a miles per hour wind gust. So 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s out here, some of those storms. Even last night, that storm, remember I showed you last night around south of Beaver, ended up producing a ton of wind damage with it as it collapsed south of town. I did see some reports there. A lot of folks lost power poles down, all that kind of stuff. And if you look at the wind gusts here so far today, and this is mainly in the last couple of hours, wind gusts anywhere from 58, which is the criteria for a severe thunderstorm, up to 85 here in Hooker. So Hooker takes the cake right now as far as the wind getting out of control, and then Eva not too far behind, around 62, and Beaver still just under 60 miles per hour. If we do look at the Oklahoma Mesonet for Hooker, so this is the Hooker site, in the Panhandle, and this peak right here that I'm going to put the cursor on is where it shows about 85 miles per hour at 6:10 this evening. And when that happened, the temperature up here just dropped like a rock. So winds jack up and temps fall. So there you go. That's what happened out there in the Panhandle just a couple hours ago. Okay, so what do we have to work with? Well, there is a severe thunderstorm watch that it covers the western, I'd say almost half of the state, from Ponca City to just north and west Oklahoma City, and then back down into southwest Oklahoma. This little green area is a flash flood watch, so we are expecting some torrential rain, which could lead to some flash flooding here in central Oklahoma. Now, Saturday, there also is a threat for severe weather, mainly in the form of those winds up around 60 to 80 miles per hour, hail up to golf balls. That's be the largest. Most of it probably about around an inch in diameter. No tornado threat really with this. It would be a very freaky event if it did occur. The wind shear it's okay. Usually, though, summertime, we don't deal with tornadoes, but the wind shear is a little decent. I can't rule a complete freak event out, but it's very low at this point in time. And you look at the flash flood potential, however, that is the big story. And that's that big area in red here, which runs right along the I-44 corridor from northeast Oklahoma down through Oklahoma City and Lawton in southwest Oklahoma. So there's going to be some good rains with this, and in some cases a little too much. Now, the Weather Service up there in the Tulsa area, highlighting amounts between 4 to 6 inches in this region for rainfall, with most of that coming this weekend, and then additional rainfall coming over the course of the next several days, as we're kind of stuck into a pattern with that. Now, the main culprit for this is two reasons. One, it's an upper level low pressure system up to the north, but at the surface is a cold front. So let me put this into motion. So this is the outflow from the storms tonight that moved through that brings us a north wind, and that will kind of stabilize things by late morning. So if you have anything to do on Saturday, there's been a little bit of a timing change. We're going to detail for you on as far as the rainfall goes. But what happens is in the afternoon, let me head into the 5 and 6 o'clock hour. So 5 and 6 and 7, what you have is a very weak, chaotic north wind field trying to sneak in here. And then on the back end, and because of the morning stuff, it's messed up the surface flow, but on the back end, you have kind of a southeast wind here. So what we have is just a broad convergence here at the surface. And if we were to look upstairs, aloft, above the ground level, where it's all chaotic from the effects from the morning storms, we do have a cold front at 850 millibars that's pretty stout, that's going to be centraled right in this area. So the 850 front is really going to be the focus for those heavy storms to kind of fire up and keep going. And the front really washes out. The winds are all over the place on Sunday, so there's really no huge convergence zone. It's just the overall weak convergence from just whatever left over any boundaries, because whatever left over from that front will still be in the area. So if you're going out, I believe there's a zoo amphitheater concert or something going on this weekend, and you're saying, hey, there's going to be some storms out there. I can't rule them out. There's going to be a few, I think, popping up in the afternoon, evening. Doesn't mean it's going to happen there, but there will be a few around the region. Now, we look underneath what's going to happen with the cloud cover, and, of course, the cooler temperatures here eventually over the weekend is also the storm. So here's a look at how those storms may end up working through tonight. So you can see that first cluster kind of moves off to the north and east through Enid, Ponca City, and, of course, southeastern Kansas has been getting hit with a lot of storms today, this afternoon and evening. And then the next round comes in. So we talked about some new development out there across the Texas and Oklahoma panhandles. So could be some more gusty winds with that. This cluster moves in. There's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And it seems to be holding together pretty good. And then it works its way into Oklahoma City Metro by 4 o'clock in the morning. So you'll likely hear some thunder and some heavy rainfall with this that may persist. There's 5, 6, 7, 8. And you see how most of it now starts to move into south central Oklahoma and northeast Oklahoma and still southwest Lawton. I mean, you've been getting hammered there for a while. That rainfall continues through noon. Now, each model has its own little take as to how quickly things push out. This one lags it, all right? It's going to lag it by a couple of hours. So we'll go worst case scenario. It doesn't really wrap up and move out until after lunchtime, so about 1 o'clock, okay? We'll call it at that. And that gives us a little break. So if you have any outdoor activities, it's a small window, maybe from 1 to 4 here in central Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, to get something done in the afternoon. Otherwise, the storms are going to try to bubble back up again with some daytime heating. as we clear back out and try to destabilize the atmosphere. And you can see the cluster of storms back right here in central Oklahoma through tomorrow evening, and then fires back up in northeast and southwest, and that just keeps on going through the forecast period into there's Sunday 6 a.m. So it's a rainy night Saturday night. There's Sunday. You see those little isolated showers and a couple of thunderstorms around the state. Really no rhyme or reason. There's not going to be any forecasted boundaries, so pretty much anywhere is fair game. There's 3, 4 o'clock, some daytime heating, uncapped atmosphere, and you're going to get these bubble up of these little storms. There'll be brief heavy rain makers, some brief wind makers. There's 5, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. You can see in Oklahoma City the models aren't, doesn't have a huge bullseye of gung-ho stuff. It just kind of has little stuff in and around the area. And that's why I'm saying if you do have any plans on Sunday, I think most of you probably get them in, but you're going to have to watch radar trends. So use my free weather app. It's called AT's Weather to Go. What it will do is it will alert you when there's lightning in the area or a dangerous storm approaching. I think the cutoff for lightning is, I think I have it at 15 miles out, 25 miles out for the dangerous storm. So you'll get plenty of heads up notice that you're going to have something coming your way that you're going to have to wrap things up pretty quickly. That's how you can utilize that app in the summertime. I know athletic departments like to use it for that purpose, get the kids off the field. It's a good reason for that, get the kids out of the pool, all that kind of stuff. Okay, how much rainfall are we talking? This is where we get into the unfortunate side of things. Flash flooding is not sexy when it comes to weather. It's not talked about a lot, all the intentions on the big hail and the tornadoes and all that kind of stuff. But look what happens to put this through time through the weekend. All right, this goes through Sunday at 7 o'clock. Now, like I said before, and I'll say it again, don't focus specifically on the exact placement of the heaviest of the rain. Just take home the general story that the model's telling you, which is widespread beneficial rain and some people getting way too much. In this particular case, this trend, I can say this trend because each run has been different. They're moving these pockets all over the place. First it was west, then it was central, then it was south, then it was northeast. So the model knows we're going to get flash flooding, and it knows we're going to get heavy stuff, and it knows there's a frontal boundary. It's just the devil's in the details, and it can't quite get that out. But what it does show, this is a foot of rain in the brown area down here just south of Oklahoma City. Can this brown area that you see here, which is anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of rain, could that be right here? Yes, it could. Could that be up here through Tulsa to Bartlesville, Stillwater? Yes, it could. Could that be down here at Elk City, down toward Lawton? Yes, it could. So keep that in mind when it rains, and you will know because it will not stop, and it will be heavy. So what happens when you're dealing with a heavy rain event like this? Well, it's flash flooding, meaning it comes on quickly. There's southeast Kansas, by the way, in some deep yellow and browns. That's again a 4 to 5, 6 inches of rain. Elsewhere, 2 to 3 inches of rain, kind of a deal. So what happens is it only takes about 6 inches of water, fast-moving water, to knock a person off their feet and carry them downstream. That's not a lot. Same thing with a car. It takes about 2 feet of water. Doesn't matter how big the car is, it's 2 feet of water, right? And that will carry it off the pavement, and it'll start drifting it somewhere. If you're anywhere close to a ravine or a culvert or a creek or a river, you're in bad shape. If you're driving over a roadway and it's deep water, and you have no idea if that road's been flooded out, and if there's water moving quickly, you're in trouble. So do we just make it easy? We say turn around, don't drown. Just go a different direction. Or you know what, is it really that important to go that way? Find another way, or just postpone. Just wait until the water clears or recedes, kind of a deal. So that's kind of the take home for the heavy rainfall. I was going to show you this, but I guess I can. It's just a little educational piece. When you look at a forecast sounding for the atmosphere, this is a profile. The red is the temperature. Well, when you see the inversion, which is this little nudge right here. Matter of fact, let me use a yellow so it shows up better. This little dip right here where it kind of goes at an angle. So that is the inversion layer we talk about. So in other words, the temperature, if it was warm all the way up, would start here, warm at the surface, and right up like this. Well, it's not. It's over here. So what that means is we have an inversion layer. In other words, it's colder in this area here of the atmosphere. That's up to about 2,000 to 3,000 feet. and you get a north-northwest wind. So in other words, this is the depth of your cold front, up to about 3,000 feet. So that's how you can find out where the cold front is. Next time it causes the inversion, which is cooler temperatures here at the surface. So anyway, just a little something I was going to throw up there. Not really much of anything as far as the big story goes. Other than the fact we'll have that stalled across our area, and this is why the forecasted, if you were to average out all the rainfall totals from the models and the National Weather Service, you're looking at a conservative area where you do get that excessive flash flooding of 4 to 6 inches of rainfall. Now this is a conservative approach. If we go off just the mesoscale models where they really try to find training of these mesoscale type thunderstorms, where you have a little rotation with it and you have a long-lived heavy rainmaker, they, for the convective nature of them, will try to pinpoint where you get excessive amounts of rain. And that's where you get the foot of rain. So this is a blended overall approach of that. The other one I showed you is what is possible if you get underneath the wrong storms for too long of a period of time. Now, Saturday is questionable in these temperatures because it depends on how quickly we clear out. If we can get enough sun and it clears out soon enough, we'll be back in the upper 80s. It'll be very humid, gross day. If it doesn't, then we're a little cooler, we're back in the low to mid 80s, because that's what it'll be like on Sunday. If I were to show you Sunday's temperatures across the state, looks like this. We're looking at pretty much 80 statewide, maybe a little warmer down southeast. So much better on Sunday versus on Saturday. But that's the latest with that. And you can take this onward for the next several days. Daytime highs stay in the 80s, and I mean 80s for a long time. This is great. Your AC bill's going to love it. No more of this critical 42-cent charge per kilowatt hour or whatever it is from OG&E at my house from 4 to 6. So I don't have to pay those high rates. You don't have to suffer in the heat. So that's some good news for us. And overnight lows will be back in the 60s. So the Bermuda grass kind of took a break. It's kind of stopped growing and getting excited because we shut the rain off there for a while. And we started to dry up the ground, but that'll get going again. So if you have any spots in your yard that need to fill in this next 10 days, the Bermuda's going to be doing just fine. What about the 4th of July? You guys have asked me before. I've had a few of you message me. Go, okay, I know it's early, but what does the 4th of July look like? Well, let's go take a look together. I have not looked recently. I looked on Tuesday, I think it was. So we're going to have to go the long-range pattern of the model, and we'll take a stab at it, and we'll see what it looks like. The last time I looked at it, looked like it was kind of an isolated thunderstorm pattern. So let's take a look here into the weekend. There's the 2nd, 3rd at 7 o'clock, Saturday the 3rd. All right, so let's go into Sunday itself. The model just goes out that far, and would you look at that? It's got a little shower activity here in Oklahoma City. So I kind of like an isolated thunderstorm look to it. The forecast sounding profile for that, weak winds, but enough shear to get some thunderstorms that'll last for a little while before they collapse due to the lighter winds. But there's enough rotation there where they should at least form and become some heavy thunderstorms. And the atmosphere itself is fairly unstable. Cape Valley's around 2,000, no cap at all. So like I said, it's only these little pop-up thunderstorm type environments, looks like, for our 4th of July. And then usually in this environment and pattern, once you get a couple hours after dark, things start to kind of die out and weaken, and so any storms out there should be over with rather quickly. So that's how the 4th of July looks right now as far as rainfall amounts. As we talked about, the temperatures themselves should be pretty decent to the 80s. Let's see, there's Sunday on July 4th itself. So we're looking at, low 80s out there. And then finally the wind at that point in time. Let's take a look at that. And the wind field for the 4th, it looks like light southeast winds at 4 knots. So you're looking at maybe 5, at most 10 miles per hour. So really light winds for fireworks. That's good stuff too. And then cloud cover, of course, if you have to deal with some thunderstorms, you're going to have a little bit of that. Otherwise, let's see how it looks overall. Looks like some morning clouds from Saturday. Yeah, looks like a little cluster rolls in Saturday night. And then there's Sunday morning, leftover clouds, residual, and they build back up central and south. So and then they clear back out late. So it's still up in the air as to whether or not how nice the 4th is going to be. It's one of these deals. But at least that's the way it looks right now. And that is way out there. Just so you know. The forecast probably changed by then, but that's what we got to work with. So I hope this was helpful, informative, educational, etc., etc. Thanks for joining me here on your Friday night. I will say I stirred a few of you up today with a post on Facebook. You guys have no idea. I just sit back and laugh, man, because some of y'all get really worked up. It's really funny, but it was something to get your mind going. All it was an exercise, a critical thinking exercise. I made no specific subject. You could have filled in the blank and put any subject you wanted on that statement, and you could have taken it as far as you wanted to. The point was it was an open-ended invitation to take it wherever you wanted to go, and yet it still applied no matter what subject you picked. It's just a question of how much did it apply and some other things. So it was just a way to get you to think. But boy, God, some of you got angry. Some of you actually left my page. Can you believe it? I had one lady message me, said, "That's it. I'm taking my stars and I'm going home. I'm never coming back." I said, "Okay," and then, but she thought I'd made it political. I was like, where was the politics in that? I didn't make anything political at all. One guy got up in arms, and I said, "Dude," I said, "just think about Britney Spears' comment today. That whole statement could apply to Britney Spears, the whole thing. Maybe that's what I was talking about." And he didn't respond, of course, because he was just trolling. But that's the whole point, is you can apply that to anything. So if you get all worked up, just sit back. It was Friday. It was just a Friday. Let's get a little action on the page and get you guys talking. Because sometimes, believe it or not, when I post a lot of weather stuff, I get crickets. And I'm going, I've got 140,000 of you, and no one likes, shares, comments, or nothing. But I'll put something out there really vague, and all of a sudden, guys come out of the woodwork. So it's just to check to see if you're still there. That's all it is. But I had a little fun with it. Hope you did too. Like I said, it's just an exercise to get the old prefrontal cortex going and see what you come up with. But anyway, so thanks again for following me though on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. Guys out there on YouTube, I appreciate you always when you leave your comments and stuff. Let me look through a couple of your questions, and then I'm going to turn you loose because I got another hot date with a Canadian again. Turns out it's working out for us. We're going to do it again. All right, let me scroll through. Some of you are looking forward to the rain and storms. I am a little bit because I need the rain, but man, I don't want to see the end result of too much rain. That's a little excessive. But let me scroll down here. Bailey, yeah, it's been a while. It depends though. I've gone live 3 times. This is the 3rd time this week, and you may not have your notifications working very well because Facebook likes to change things. They changed the apps that I use to do this stuff and monitor this stuff on my phone, for example, and they're always breaking it. It's so irritating. Like one of them, the app, they did it to where there's no names. It's just a picture of a face and then a comment. I'm like, I don't even know who wrote that or said that. It's really ridiculous. David's in the house with some stars, though. Thank you, David. What is the time range of the central area? I'm in Norman. Well, it'll be overnight, so we're not. The storms out there now are going to kind of shift off to the north in northern Oklahoma. Just looks like that'll probably bypass Oklahoma City. There's some stragglers southwest of there, but that's still, it's after midnight hour. She'll be in bed by then. LaDonna's in the house with some stars. Thank you, LaDonna. Like we said, for the hail size, it's probably only going to be about 1 inch in diameter for the biggest ones. And that's mainly for tomorrow, not necessarily tonight. Tonight's just kind of wind and whatever's left of the rain. Let's see. I see you, Shane. Jennifer, thank you for the stars. Yes, Michelle, the weather app works when you travel all across the state. So in other words, I was checking on the weather for my brother up in Fall City near Seattle. He's going to get to 110 degrees, I think it was Sunday or Monday. And he's got no air conditioning. I'm just like, man, I feel for you, brother. Awesome, Mo. Glad to hear that. So the app alerted him to save him from the hail. So that's what I'm saying. When you get those alerts that says danger storm approaching or lightning in the area, man, open up that app and check it out because you might need to move your car. Sometimes they sneak up on you here in the summer. Let's see. Thank you for the stars, Shane. Appreciate you, brother. Yep, Joey's got you taken care of. Yep, and we do have a lot of storms heading our way. Snow. Yep, LaDonna, correct. App is great. So even if you're in Dallas and you're watching, if you want to get notified, my app works everywhere. It's called AT's Weather to Go. You can look up AT's Weather on Apple or Google Play, and it'll populate, and you can download it there. Craig says, any hail and jinx coming? Not for tonight, but you might get a little bit tomorrow before the whole weekend's over. It's not, remember, this isn't a huge hail atmosphere, although there will be some. It's more of just flooding rain and some pockets of damaging wind. Let's see. Will Yukon see the rain around 1 p.m. tomorrow, Kayla? So remember, the models are trying to clear things out just a little after lunch, and that includes Yukon, all of central Oklahoma. So fingers crossed that morning stuff, and there is some other models that do indicate it gets out of here much sooner and is not quite as heavy in the early morning hours here in central Oklahoma, including the Oklahoma City metro area, the greater metro areas. That does include Yukon, and I take that out to El Reno. I take it down to Norman, so you kind of get the idea. Hopefully that'll move on out so we can salvage at least a few hours of our Saturday through the lunchtime to mid to late afternoon. After about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, all bets are off as far as that window. So if you got any plans, like say a birthday party or something, squeeze it in during that time and use my app. That way you know if lightning's in the area, get them out of the pool or shut the party down in time before anybody gets hurt. Colton, shouting out for Tom's new song, Snowflakes. I liked his song. So Tom's a man. I admire him for a couple of reasons. So one, which is funny, he's speaking his mind just he's an artist, so he's speaking his mind just on the content that he's providing, just like I am. I'm on the content that I'm providing. He's speaking his mind over stuff that we should all be able to say, but you can't say because it's the politically correct world now. And so everybody's going to get their feelings hurt, and then everybody gets canceled for whatever reason. So it's funny. So he's become very popular because he's going against that movement. And then on top of that, what I admire about him is that he does everything on his own. So I can empathize and sympathize with having to do all of it. I mean, the promotion, the marketing, the design, the technical side, putting it all together, building sets, all that kind of stuff. So Lee's like, who's Tom? We're talking about Tom McDonald. He's an artist, a rapper. So I'm admiring just because I know the amount of time and energy it takes, and then to do it by yourself with no one helping you and no one financing you, and you got to finance it yourself. So independence is what it's called. So Mean Okie gets it. They're on YouTube. So independence is great because in his line of work in Hollywood, because he's part of Hollywood, if you don't have to answer to some big corporation that tells you what you can, write songs about or how you can say things or do things, man, that's great. That's true freedom. So a lot of the music industry, they don't have that freedom, right? They sign up with a company, and that company then forever owns them and forever owns their music. So you don't even own what you make. You don't even own what you produce. You don't even own yourself. And then once your 15 minutes of fame is over, you dried up, you got no money left, and that's it for you. So being an independent, even though it's a harder, rougher road, it's more rewarding in the end because everything you do, you own, you get to keep. So it's the fruits of your labor, literally. So in this business that I'm in, it's the same thing. If I were to work still in TV, which is what I did for 12 years, the station owns me. I don't even own myself. In other words, I'm always Aaron Tuttle from KXY TV. It's always going to be that. So 24/7, I'm a representative of KXY TV. I build KXY TV's brand. The money I make goes to KXY TV. All the people I draw in, if they like my approach to weather, all goes to KXY TV. So I work really hard to build that company up. And so when I leave it, this is before this came out. In other words, social, digital media. When you left it, that was it. You know, say I got a job at another market. I couldn't take all those people that with me. I got to start all over, right? So, but the KXY TV, whatever, gets to keep all the work that I did. So that's the deal there. It's just a little different. Whereas here, I lucked into a right time. I retired from television. Took about 3 years off because I was totally burnt out. And then I said, but I missed the forecast element. I missed helping people. So I started this Facebook thing. And I didn't even know if Facebook was really going to become what it was. I thought it was like another MySpace. You know, here one day, gone in a couple of years. This was way early. This was 2000, I think 7 when I opened up an account. And that's the time I left television. And then, so in 2010 is when I started doing Facebook weather. We'll call it that. And then over time, you guys just loved it. I mean, a lot of you were all new. You didn't even watch me on television back when I was at Channel 5. But then a lot of you did. You said, hey, where have you been, the last few years? So I started doing that. It took off organically. It blew up. And then it became something. I was like, okay, I'm onto something, right? So it was kind of neat. So I was able to build something that I got to keep for myself, my own. And if anybody's going to screw it up, it was going to be me. Which in this culture is really easy to do. You're only as good. In the weather term, we have a joke. You're only as good until your next forecast. Meaning, you could nail every forecast in a row, and I could screw the next one up to the moon, and you guys would never let it down, never forgive me. You cancel me. You say you suck, and I'm never watching you again. So you're only as good as the next forecast, and no matter how many years you've been excellent or accurate, it doesn't even matter. So that's the joke that we say, which has some truth to it, in that business. So, but unfortunately, it carries on into the rest of the cancel culture on social media, where this irritates the tar out of me. First off, everybody acts like no one changes. In other words, whoever you were 10 years ago, you're that same person today. You will never change or grow or develop or learn anything in life. You're that same idiot. So if you tweet something or put something on Facebook 10 years ago, and the algorithms go digging, they go back 10 years, oh, you said a word here you shouldn't have said in today's day and age, canceled. I'm just like, you guys are crazy. This is stupid. So I shake my head a lot about that stuff, because I'm sure I've had stuff on Twitter or Facebook that I've said or whatever that, I'm like, ooh, that wasn't so good. But that was back then, and obviously I've grown and learned and been a better person, because the idea is you're supposed to better yourself every year. Your idea isn't to make yourself worse before you die. Who does that? That's stupid. Now, there might be a few people that do that, but by far and large, the majority of us improve ourselves because we start becoming wiser and not as foolish. So you shouldn't be held, responsible for everything you've done as a kid. Just think about how many things you may have done back before cell phones were around, and you're like, thank God nobody took a picture or video of that, right? So unfortunately, that's not today's day and age. So it's a whole different world. So when you're trying to run a business like this, I have to be in tune with all this stuff, and it's nauseating. And that cancer culture, whether or not you try to take a political stance on it, stop it. It's real, trust me, because I've seen people that lose their livelihood or their business over something dumb. And one thing I have learned is that you never apologize. You be true to who yourself. If you screw up, you screw up. Now, if it's something horrific, and it was something that's unbecoming, well, obviously you shouldn't have done it. But if it's something that's a little bit more minor, or it's a dumb joke or something that was okay to say 5 years ago but not today because somebody's feelings get hurt, that's dumb. They need to toughen up. There was in television, you had to get really thick skin, because we had cancel culture long before cancel culture was a thing. We got it on phone calls, or we would get it on an email. And some of you people would say some of the most horrific things to a meteorologist, and a lot of people would laugh about it, obviously, in the TV studio. We'd pass it around, and we'd, say about it, and like, oh my gosh, we all, cringe. But sometimes some people take it too seriously, and it would hurt the meteorologist's feelings, because they really try to do a really good job, and if they screw up, they screw up. So I will tell you what I do know, for example, here in town. It happened not too long ago. There was a certain meteorologist that told everybody to drive south. All right? Most of you guys know who I'm talking about. And he wished he could take that back. Now, this was before cancel culture really got going. If he had said that today, he'd be off the air. But back then, there was still a little forgiveness left in this world. So he felt horrible. And if he had to do it again, he would have not have done it. It was a quick judgment call based off emotion and everything else, and and it slipped out or whatever. So he felt terrible about it. And I feel sorry for him because technically he gave the right information, but to too many people. You know how sometimes you know something, but you don't need to tell everybody? Yeah. You tell a few of your close friends or family. It was more kind of that. You don't want to tell everybody to abandon ship and go south. You just want to tell people that are stuck out in it already, that are in their cars and have no place to go. In storm chasing, the south is always the exit. All right, so it made sense. It's just you can't tell 300,000 people to go south all at once. You get a traffic jam. So that's kind of what happened with that, and I feel bad for him because I know what he was trying to do, but it didn't come out right, and it caused a lot of problems. But that's just an example of how even in what I do, I can screw up. I can say the wrong thing, but I meant well, and then cancel, right? And I was talking to my brother about this, and because I think the whole cancel culture is stupid. And so, sorry, we're off on a tangent, by the way. So if you tuned in late, we already finished the weather. This is the raw AT stories at 10 p.m. on a Friday night, and I hadn't even been drinking. But I was thinking, we're talking about canceling, and somehow we got on Jesus Christ, and talking about he's the biggest counselor of all. I'm like, what? And then we started thinking about it. He's like, yeah, think about it. So God gives you unlimited times to get it right? And he helps you along, and he draws you into him, and he wants you as part of the family. And then at the end, if you don't, you're canceled, like forever. And so I started thinking about that. I was like, wait a minute. Jesus was a canceler. Like, that's cancel culture from day one. And so we kind of laughed about it, but it was kind of interesting. And we didn't get any deeper into that because it was a little uncomfortable to talk about. But in essence, it is kind of a form of cancellation. You screw up enough, you're out. Once your last breath is obviously gone. But until you get that breath, you have unlimited numbers of time to fix it. Whereas today, humans, they don't give you unlimited breaths. They give you one time. You're one and done. And then you're done. That's it. Your cancel career's over. Life's over. Go hide under a rock. So it's a little different, but same premise of at some point you run out of forgiveness, I guess, or you run out of excuses or chances. Anyway, so that was a whole nother topic. It was part of my trip. I was up in Seattle. So his son graduated 2 years ago. And his daughter just graduated, and she's going to A&M. So she's going to be an Aggie like me and my brother. So we were Aggies too. He's computer science. I was meteorology. She's going to go into CSI type forensics stuff is what she wants to do. So she wants to do the gruesome blood and guts, solve the mystery in the lab and whatever else. And I'm just like, that's morbid and gross. And to see her want to do that, she's a teeny tiny little thing. It's so funny to see that's what you want. That's what she wants. So she saved up her money. She did really good. She saved up $15,000. I'm proud of her. So she's got her head on straight, and then got some scholarships and some other stuff to incentives. So to go and got in-state tuition granted, even being out of state. I don't know how they do that. Some kind of program to cheapen it up for her because college is expensive. So anyway, so I was proud of her. We were up there. We did some kayaking, and we climbed. Not climbed, we hiked a mountain. It's called Rattlesnake Ledge. Have you ever been up there? The view was incredible. Oh my goodness. But man, a bodybuilder, I don't know what I was thinking, man. I got too much muscle mass. And you talk about ATP stores burning out quick. And my brother wanted to do it in 45 minutes. It's almost 2.5 miles up the mountain. He goes, come on, let's go. 45 minutes. I gotta get back and smoke some meat. And he goes, well, wait, 45 up and 30 down. I'll give you about 10 minutes to enjoy the view. I'm like, man, you're cracking the whip, dude. So we're hoofing it up there, and that was a really dumb idea to try to hike that thing in record time. We probably broke the Guinness Book of World Records. But we got it done, and I didn't die, but I felt like it there a couple of times. Anyway, so that was a fun trip. And then Jody, she actually can't swim, and so she really didn't want to kayak, but she didn't want to give up the opportunity either. So she put on a life jacket. I was very proud of her. She did good. Got one of those slower, wider boats so it doesn't tip over easy. She did really good. And then she paddled, and we went on down, and the sights, the views, Mount Rainier in the foreground, all that stuff. Speaking of which, with their record heat up there around 100 plus, I want to be surprised how much of that snow melts in that area. That'd be interesting to see what happens. But otherwise, a lot of those mountains still had some snow on them, but they won't after this coming week up there. Anyway, I just went off on like 3 different tangents. Hope that was entertaining. So, but for those of you folks that how we got started with this, saw my post earlier. Just hope you go back and view it a different way, and that way you don't get too upset. So it was just an exercise. It was funny that people get mad because I don't get specific. I leave it too open ended. I'm like, come on, man, just use whatever you want. Use any subject you want to do, and just think about it. All right, yeah. Emily wants to know if I took little Larry kayaking. Not this time around. Yeah, we had to kennel him, unfortunately. We don't like doing that just because he's little Larry. Let's see. Hey, Jody.
Yeah.
What's Larry doing?
Sleeping.
Why don't you wake him up, bring him in here. I'll have Larry say goodnight. So, Catherine, are there any tornadoes expected? No. It'd be a freak event if one happened. I mean, I can't say no to 0, but because of the shear for this time of year isn't that bad. I mean, in other words, it's decent to get a couple of rotating type storms, but it would be a kind of a freak deal. Aww. Come here, buddy. All right, so this is little Larry. Say hi, buddy. Say hi, everybody. So he's tiny. He's full grown. He's 3 years old and just under 3 pounds. He was a solid 3, and then he lost some weight on one of the kennels to about 2.6. Did you? So you got a little something up your nose. You've been doing a little bit of that nose sneezing today. You've gotten into something, I think. Anyway, he's pretty docile. Uh-oh. You okay, buddy? Did you get a little worked up? Can you guys hear that? He's been doing this all day today. You alright? You okay? Did you get it? Okay, I think he got it. So we carry him around in this little tiny kennel. We brought him to the get our glasses picked up, and all the ladies in the office, when they saw that little bitty kennel and what was in there, and he popped his head out, they're like, "Oh my gosh, he's the cutest thing ever." So he's like a real life teddy bear. But anyway, so you guys seem to love Larry more than me or Jody, and that's fine because that's how I kind of feel. He is adorable. But so I know I bring him out every now and then because you guys like to call for him, check up on him, ask how he's doing. So, but he's full grown. Goodness. All right. Send you on your way, buddy. Say bye, everybody. All right. So anyway, that was little Larry, and you have to say little Larry. You can't just say Larry. Doesn't make sense, right? But if you say little Larry, then it's super adorable. And who names their dog Larry? So anyway. All right. Yes, that is it for me. I don't know if it's allergies, Carol. He normally doesn't do that. It was just today. I think he got something up his nose. It's probably a hair is tickling him. You know how hair tickles you in your nose or my nose? You can't get rid of it or whatever. Or maybe you got a hair that grows in your nose and it tickles it. Maybe he's got a hair that grew in his nose and it's tickling. All right. Okay, guys. Well, listen. Thanks again for watching tonight. And be careful this weekend. Watch out for the excessive rainfall. Remember, turn around, don't drown. Watch out for flooded roadways. All that kind of jazz. And I may do another live cut in tomorrow in the evening or something. Just kind of depends on how things go, and give you up to date there. And obviously, if there was a type of storm that got a little too carried away, that would or could produce a tornado, I'd let you know about it. But other than that, use my weather app and be safe. Guys, sleep well. Take care. Good night.